Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cinderella phenomenon. Basically, we just got to hear that Karma's real name is Claude, and he and Lucette are more alike than we would have ever guessed. Practice is ending, and I've decided you have to tell Jurian. Claude told me before that confessing is hard, but what Garland is going through looks even harder. Princess, you know I'm incapable. No, you think you're incapable, but if you never say anything to her, you'll never know. If I say something wrong, I risk losing everything that I already have with her. And if you say nothing, you risk losing what you could have with her. Plus, I think she's actually kind of there for it. Lucette is right. Maybe you should really tell her, Garland. But before, Claude was adamant that Garland shouldn't confess to Jurian. What changed? He's experiencing the same situation with you, Lucette. If I mess this up... Let's try looking at it through another lens. Imagine that Jurian is Lucette. How do you think she would like to be confessed to? I frown at the two men, arms crossed. Excuse me? Well, you and Jurian are very similar. You're both very straightforward. Confess to the princess? My eyes move to Claude, but only fleetingly before they are once again on Garland. You just need to do something simple, Garland. Something that will not rub her the wrong way. A maiden's heart is ever fragile, and each woman is different. Claude is wearing an amused smile on his face, but he is looking at me, not Garland. I feel my face flush and I have to look away. Lucette, you're tomato red again. It's adorable. I cross my arms over my rapidly beating heart again and force a scowl on my face. No, I was just thinking about what Garland could do. Something simple, like when Karma kissed my hand, Garland kissing Jurian's hand is probably not a good idea. Maybe he could do what Claude and I did that one day in town. He can buy her some food and they can just, talk. Garland, have you ever asked Jurian out for food? Not alone. Jurian is practical and she always eats at the tavern. She's also always on duty if she's available. I'll take her patrol shift 2 nights from now then, and tomorrow you can ask her out for a meal. We can make your invite a grand affair. We can drape banners on the walls, or I could give you a rose. That sounds like a terrible idea. I am offended. I feel like if I did something like that for Jurian, she would get embarrassed and punch me. Sounds like another lady that I know. Claude grins at me, but I just roll my eyes. Garland, just ask her normally, and then when you're out and alone together, you can confess. And we'll make sure you have the time to do it. I'll purposefully come late to practice tomorrow night so you can ask her out for that date. How does that sound? You two really think I can do this? You just have to ask the question. Whatever follows will at least be an answer. Tomorrow night, then. Good man. I'm sure it will go swimmingly. Or I could drown. That's also an option. You won't drown, Garland. Garland excuses himself with a nervous smile before Claude turns to me expectantly with a mischievous grin. Now, Lucette, we'll come out here early tomorrow and spy on them. We need to scope out a good spot. Spy on them? Of course! We need to make sure that our efforts pay off. I don't think we should. You don't want to see how it plays out? I mutely shake my head, unable to put my emotions into words. For some reason, I'm imagining myself in Jurian's position. It feels too personal. Claude's likeness suddenly springs... Likeness, not likeliness. No, it is likeliness. It should be likeness. Suddenly springs to mind and I feel my face grow hot again. Lucette, you've been oddly out of it today. Claude reaches out a hand toward me, then abruptly pulls away. I stare as he smiles at me, almost sheepishly. The conversation between us dies, and we return to the Marchen. Days passed, and though I did not spy on the conversation between Jurian and Garland, I noticed that Garland has been smiling from ear to ear during his practice with Claude recently. I can only assume that his confession went well. Claude took the patrol shift tonight, and as I lie in bed, I am restless. Every time I watch Claude practice with Jurian and Garland, I'm reminded of the palace, of Fritz. I wonder how Fritz is doing. Is he still practicing with the other knights? My thoughts darken as I recall the kidnappings. Claude had to save me every single time. He got injured saving me. Unable to sleep, I slip out of bed and make my way to the reception room. The night air is cool and no one stops me from standing just outside of the Marchen. I cannot just sit back and do nothing anymore. I have to act. I do not want Claude to get hurt because of me again. Eventually, I see Claude approach. He looks tired and is moving more slowly than usual, but when he sees me, his lips quirk into a smile. Lucette, what are you doing out here tonight, love? Love instead of darling. That's new. Hello, Claude. Oh, his face is dark red again. If you're using my real name, I suppose you've come to ask for something serious? How could he know that? It's like I'm acting differently than usual. I do need to ask something of you. Well, if you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm right here, love. What? Oh, is this not about... never mind. I'm asking if you will be my instructor. For some reason, I seem to have caught Claude off guard. He stares at me for a few moments. What? I want to learn how to use the sword, and I want you to be my instructor. Claude's expression becomes uncharacteristically serious. I'd rather you didn't learn how to use a sword. I do not want you to have to keep protecting me. I don't mind protecting you. I do! Claude sighs and shakes his head. Princesses shouldn't be using swords. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. You are? I do not want you to get hurt again when I could do something about it. Teach me, please. Claude. Once again he flushes. It seems to be an instant reaction, and it is both amusing and endearing. It won't be easy. I wasn't expecting it to be. Claude stares at me for a long time before finally letting out a heavy sigh. Fine, I'll train you. You won't learn in a day, but I can teach you the essentials. You can use one of the knight's training swords. Thank you. Music to my ears. Meet me in the clearing in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? What? You said you wanted to train, so we will. Don't expect me to go easy on you. But aren't you tired? He looked exhausted when he came in, and now he wants to train? Already trying to get out of training, I see. I am not. Claude shakes his head, but he is smiling. I'll see you there in a few minutes, love. So cute. Moonlight spills through the leaves, illuminating the forest with gentle light. Long minutes pass, and as I stand in the clearing, I begin to feel restless. It isn't like Claude to be late. Is he tending to his injury? I hear a rustling in the leaves, and I turn immediately to see what the disturbance is, but the minute I do, I'm pulled back by a strong force, and my world goes dark. Before I could scream, I hear a gentle voice in my ears. Lesson 1, Lucette. When apprehended by an enemy that you can't see, remain calm. I'm so sorry. Oh. What the frick accent was that? I can't take it seriously now. When apprehended by an enemy you can't see. Oh my goodness. When apprehended by an enemy that you can't see, remain calm and use your 5 senses to judge how best to get the upper hand. This voice is coming from right behind me. Whoa. Ho ho! Claude? I become aware that this is the closest he's ever been to me, with my back pressed to his chest like this. Panicking disorients the mind. That is why you must remain cool under any circumstance. How could I not panic? Any normal person would panic. Still, I try to force myself to be calm. Lesson 2. Enemies will often let down their guard when they think they have the upper hand. Which is what I've been doing this entire time. Catch your opponent off guard by remaining calm and locating this weakness with your senses. I try to calm myself as Claude instructs, and I feel it is a bit easier, but only because I know it's Claude. An opening. I move as quickly as I can, stepping forward so that I can swing an elbow back at Claude's stomach. Before that happens, Claude has pulled me back to him, closing whatever distance I had put between us. In the process, he moves his hand from my eyes to my mouth. I can once again see the forest, but my words are muffled beneath his hand. Another thing to remember. You won't always be able to catch your enemy off guard by throwing punches or hits at them. Your opponent will usually always be stronger than you, Lucette. Remember what I said about a weakness. Enemies will often let their guards down when they believe they are winning. Just like I have. An opening. A thought occurs to me as I glance around me and then down at Karma's bandaged hand. Karma's bandaged hand is over my mouth. Is this an opportunity or a trick? What will you do, princess? What kind of tactic would remove you from my grasp? Bite him. I'm going to feel terrible about this, but I have to try. I try to shift my head to get enough space to bite down, and even Claude cannot hold me completely still as I squirm. Eventually, the hand over my mouth moves just enough for me to open my mouth, but I falter. I cannot bite the hand that I injured. Unable to do anything else, I mutely shake my head and I hear Claude groan. In one swift motion, he pushes me down to the ground, pinning my hands by my head as he frowns at me. You're not even going to try to find an opening? I glare at him. I am not going to bite your hand. Bite my hand? I didn't even think of that. But you made it obvious. You put your hand over my mouth. I'd meant for you to try moving my hand. Pushing back a person's thumb usually causes their grip to loosen. How was I supposed to know that? Experience is the best means of practice, as they say. I have a complaint about that particular lesson, but I withhold it. That was a pretty good attempt, love, but not good enough, I'm afraid. I wasn't expecting you to come at me like that. I was expecting sword practice. You weren't expecting a man to kidnap you in the alleyway, were you? I glare up at him, unable to say anything, because he is right. You're oddly quiet. It's hard to find an opening to hurt you when you're not really my enemy. He does not move, but continues to stare at me. His face is close to mine. Close enough to... You know exactly what, Lucette. You know exactly what. Lucette, do you trust me to protect you? That's not the point. I need to be able to protect myself. Because you're planning on investigating the witches on your own? No, I want to be able to protect myself because I do not want you getting hurt protecting me. Claude leans down and I feel his hair at my cheek. For a few moments, everything slows to a stop, and all I can hear is my heartbeat and his slow breathing. Once you set your mind to something, you don't let go, do you? Claude pulls away from me before I can respond, and he's standing again, offering me a hand. Let's get started with some sword work, then. The pleasant smile is back on his face. I can never tell what he's thinking at times like these. Probably thinking how he could have, kissed you easily. Real easily. What are you really like, Claude? Bum bum bum, bum bum bum. Chapter 7. The Thorny Rose. When I return to the March-in later that night, my hands are scratched and I think I might even have bruises on my arms. Claude was not joking when he said he would not go easy on me, but he did compliment me more than once. Lucette, I've hit you quite a few times and you haven't uttered a single complaint. Single? What in the world is a single? Impressive that you can figure out a word that doesn't exist in any language whatsoever. Crying is for the weak. Though everyone should be sleeping, I notice that the light is still on at the tavern. I see Jurian and Garland up and at the table, speaking with each other and laughing. If Claude had come back with me, he would be happy to see this. You two are still up? They're not even surprised when they turn to face me. Good days like this are even better when stretched. I haven't been off duty in a long time. Did you both have a good time tonight? It was great. Garland knows these little places in town that I've never even heard of before. I noticed that Jurian is more energetic than usual, her smile a little wider than normal. She's been waiting for this for a long time. I wonder if she's drunk. I'm going to get another drink. Another drink? Garland leans in towards me, his voice hushed. We already bought a replacement bottle when we were out today. We would never take anything from the Marchen without money. Right. Is Jurian drunk? Oh no, Princess. Tipsy. It's like a buzz. Fades a lot quicker. Oh. Right. Garland and I watch Jurian as she refills her glass at the bar. I have to thank you, Princess. I would never have asked her out if you and Karma hadn't insisted on it. So you told her? Garland looks at me with a pleased smile. I'll take that as a yes. She didn't really realize until much later. I just asked her out for food and she thought that's all it was. Maybe Jurian really did need to be told bluntly. What happened? I, told her. And we talked and remembered old times. He sounds like an old man. And I held her hand. He sounds like a young man all at once. I noticed Garland flinch ever so slightly, but he's smiling. He looks pleased with himself. And the night's not over yet, so... He trails off with a hopeful smile before he raises his eyebrows at me. Eh? Eh? What about you and Karma? What about us? I've asked him to train me. Train? Princess, you asked him to teach you how to use a sword? What's this? Our princess is going to pick up a sword? Jurian returns to the table, but I'm too tired to properly join in the conversation. I should leave them to their conversation and head to bed. I need to get some rest if I want to start practicing at night. I excuse myself to head upstairs. Oh, hello. I'm startled awake by an excruciatingly bright light. Did you sleep through the practice? Oh, honey bun. No. Oh. Anyways, we'll see what happens in the next episode. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you then, so bye-bye.